Welcome in. It's our Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio coming to you live here on KDSJ 479, Monday through Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. And we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Ty Storey. It was announced and confirmed yesterday that Ty has put his name in the transfer portal. Now, that's not 100% that he's going to transfer, but it allows Ty to speak with multiple collegiate programs and programs to reach out to Ty during this contact period. So we'll just follow that closely. Also, too, Arkansas fell last night to 1-1 as they were beaten in their home SEC opener by the Florida Gators, 57-51. Not a very productive night for this young basketball team, but I want to caution all fans, be patient with this team. We knew that this was going to be this way. I mean, it's part of, Demetrius, I like to say it's part of the maturation. When I was 18, 19, I didn't come with the same energy each and every day. And, when you have so much time off, this is a break for these young men. I think, it's all basketball, so I think these kids are going to have to get into a routine to kind of get that vibe back, in my opinion. How about yourself?
Definitely. I just think these guys are just learning how to play with each other still, just on a collegiate level. It's one thing to play together on a high school level and pick up games, but it's another to really just really excel in your first year together as a team.
Right.
So, like I said, I think it's part of the process when you look at the age, and not only our age of our team, but the age and the experience of the other side of the team. Because we all know Florida, they've had our number for some years.
Right.
I think the last time we probably beat them was when Qualls was here.
Last year, SEC tournament.
That's right. But that's regular. That's tournament. I don't think
regular season. It's been a while.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the last time we beat them was when Mike Qualls and
I believe you. That could be true.
Bobby Portis and stuff was here. So, like I said, I think this is a tough team for Arkansas to play in general. Anytime we play the University of Florida. So, like I said, I'm not disappointed. I think they could have put on a better show, but it just shows the things that they need to work on. I think, like I said, if they hit those free throws, it's a different ball game.
Tremendous stat line. Mason Jones, 30 points. The rest of the basketball team, and I should say the rest of the four starters combined for 21 points. 51 for the entire game. The bench, 0 points. 10 rebounds coming off the bench. You got to get more. Mike talks about that being an important part of this basketball team for the 2018-2019 season. And with the loss of Jordan Phillips, puts even more pressure on a Gabe Osaboin or a Keyshawn Embry-Smith or Reggie Chaney or Desi Seals. And I felt like those guys played with energy. It just was one of those nights where nothing seemed to go down. I think the capper was right there. Arkansas goes down 16. You got a chance with 12 seconds to tie the ball game up. You run an inbound play. Mason shoots the floater. He misses it. Adrio gets the rebound in that point-blank range. Point-blank range misses the putback, and that just exemplified the way the night went. Arkansas stats 15 out of 50 for 30%, 6 out of 26 for 23%, and 15 out of 26 from the free throw line for 57%. You do those things, home or on the road, Demetrius, I don't understand how you win. To top it off, you have 16 turnovers. And your big man, future lottery pick, only shoots the ball 4 times. He goes 3 for 4, 9 points, 12 rebounds. Recipe for a loss in my book, don't you think?
Yeah, like I said, you hit it on the head just with the amount of time Gafford got to shoot the ball. And that's what I mean by guys are still learning how to play together. They're still learning their roles. Still understanding the food chain of who takes the shots. And I think as the year goes on, you're going to see it. You're going to see them understand that, hey, we have to play through Gafford. But another thing is I want guys to stop settling for jump shots.
Right.
That's something that I was really worried about at the beginning of the year was we didn't have a guy that I felt could really take the ball to the rack, or as I call it, that slasher. They don't have that guy that can really just take the ball to the rim. And that's what I said. Losing Day-Day, I think, was really big in the offseason. I think Day-Day would have played that role. That guy
a bigger body, more physical.
Right. You want that body to take that take the ball to the rack instead of settling for a jump shot. I'll take a missed layup versus a crazy three. So that's just me.
This team, I think, still has it's better basketball ahead of them as the season progresses on. But, just right now there's a funk on this team, and you can see it, you can feel it. They're not shooting the ball as a team with confidence. But I think shooters have to shoot themselves out of slumps. And I do think Keyshawn and I think Desi Seals will begin to be a better shooter. But the guy that I really feel has to really improve his outside shot is Jalen Harris. Teams are going to back off of him. He's your starting point guard. They're going to take away those driving lanes because, going into the game, the scouting report on Jalen is he's the playmaker. He's going to get it to the guys, Isaiah's, the Mason Jones, the Daniel Gaffords, and areas where those guys can make plays. So I think what you have to do is Jalen's going to have to step up and start hitting, in the 30s, 40%. I think maybe 2-point range may be the way to go with Jalen until he can get comfortable with that mid-range and then move out to the three. His drive game is really, really good, Demetrius. I've been really impressed with that. But he's going to have to knock down some jump shots because it's clear teams are giving him that 15 to 18-foot jumper and just daring him to shoot it. And I think once he begins to knock those shots down, it'll help Daniel, because he's going to need a lot of help. I think offensively, the forwards, Gabe, Adrio, Reggie, they're going to have to elevate their games for the conference season going forward with the loss of Jordan Phillips. Now everybody's going to have to raise their game up 2 to 3 notches. But I was curious to see how it would go last night, how they would respond. You could definitely tell it was the first bit of adversity, but it just came down to free throws and just not being able to knock down open shots. You hold a team to 57 points, your chances of winning that home game go up. But at the same token, when you shoot the ball the way Arkansas did last night, it makes it even more difficult. And falling down 16 late in that second half was just, I think, a little bit too much to overcome for this young basketball team. And I agree with what you said, Demetrius. The maturity of Florida plus the inexperience of Arkansas, you could tell it reared its head. And Coach Anderson said in the opening media day several months ago that there was going to be peaks and valleys, ups and downs with this young basketball team. Is to be expected. And last night was one of those valleys. They host LSU, a very good LSU team this Saturday at 5 o'clock. Tip-off, Bud Walton Arena. So, hopefully this team can go back to the lab, understand and learn from their losses. Because if you look at it, Demetrius, 3 of their 4 losses have been in the friendly confines of Bud Walton Arena. And that's just something that you're not really used to, with the Mike Anderson team, as they've been very, very good non-conference or conference here in Fayetteville. But we're going to step away, get a quick break. Caught up with head coach Mike Anderson, why the outcome was the way it was.
Everybody up and running? All right, Coach, if you start us off real quick.
All right, we talk about, the sense of urgency and bigger even in the second half. And then shoot the ball well. We turned the ball 12 times that game. And so you talk about inexperience versus experience. You saw that tonight on display. Had a very energetic crowd, good opponent. Defensively, they're good. But again, I talked about, with so many new faces. And I think that's one of those bumps I talked about. We're going to have some bumps throughout the year. And that was a bump. And so hopefully we can get over it and learn from it. When you start off, you got to come out with a great energy. We started off actually scoring inside early on. And Dan scored a couple of buckets, and then we kind of got away from it. And so I'll take the blame for that. We got to do better in terms of really continue to get him involved and move him around. But we got to get the ball to him. And quite frankly, we didn't shoot the ball well. We had open shots. It was amazing. I saw so many air balls. I don't know if it was nerves or what it was. Never seen so many air balls. But give our guys credit. They were down 16, and we had the ball with 20-something, 30-something seconds with an opportunity to shot off balance, and Adriel had one there point blank. And so, but again, you're trying to climb that hill up, and you extend so much energy. Our bench, which I talked about being consistent. It's going to be, I think, a strong component of our basketball team. They not score a point. They played hard. They not score a point tonight. So when you have all those things take place, man, I tell you what, it's a kind of a mountain you got to climb, and we didn't get it done. So give Florida credit. They're good defensive team, but for us to score 51 points at home, that's something we got to get better at.
Welcome back. It's our Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. We come to you live each and every day here on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. And we let you hear post-game audio from last night's press conference with Coach Anderson following their disappointing home SEC opener loss to the Florida Gators. It's just one of those games. Arkansas is definitely going to have to shake back. That's a new term. You like that? You like that shake back? A little ebonics there for you, but
we have a comment from Mr. Terry Roy.
Okay, what he got?
Facebook status. Mr. Roy writes, he thinks that the Razorbacks did not have enough spacing on the floor, erratic ball movement, no true leader on the floor, and they need to switch up the lineup. How do you feel about that, Pat?
I think that may be a great point. I think when you get to a point of complacency, and I think that's what's going on, especially with a young basketball team, you kind of have to shake things up, reinvigorate the kids. Nothing reinvigorates a young man more than competition. And I think if you bring in a Desi Seals, get his confidence up. I mean, Mr. Roy and Demetrius, we're dealing with a 18 and 19-year-old kid these kids are used to being starters at their high school. They're used to being the man. When all goes south, give a Desi Seals the ball, give a Reggie Chaney the ball, give Keyshawn the ball. All these freshmen are used to that, Isaiah Joe. But they're having to deal with adverse situations, and when you're a young team dealing with so much maturity, I do agree with you that there was a lot of uncharacteristic ball movement. The spacing, the floor shrunk, in my opinion. But later in the game, they spaced it out, started creating driving lanes. I've always felt, and I've said it time and time again, this team will be better offensively when they can attack the basket and kick out to their shooters, play the game inside out. They didn't do that last night. It goes back to several weeks ago when they shot over 30 three-pointers. I believe it was the Georgia Tech game. 26 three-pointers for this team, Demetrius, and for all our listeners. All right, it's entirely too many three-point shots. Not when you have a guy that's been projected to go in the top 10. You have to get the ball to a Daniel Gafford. No matter how many guys are draped over him, if he's double-teamed, odds are there's going to be one out of four guys wide open. And, they got a lot of open shots last night. They did not shoot the ball well, but I totally agree with you, Terry. They may have to shake up the lineup. One guy that you're going to have to put out, that's Daniel Gafford. You have to do some things to create more competition and get some confidence, because I think it's just a confidence thing right now, both from the outside floor shooting to the free throw line. Adriel Bailey being the junior, I feel Demetrius has got to really step it up. He's been in a shooting that's really going to have to get taken care of. 51 points at home, not going to get it done.
Yeah, the biggest take that I really see that they need to change is the shot selection.
Right.
We was talking off the air about how the NBA has transformed the college game and the resurgence of it right now.
Right.
You were talking about how everybody either wants to shoot the three or they want to dunk the ball. There's no mid-range. There's no penetration.
If I see a kid do a mid-range, I take a picture of that because it's so few and far between. I mean, that mid-range game, Demetrius, is like a dinosaur. You don't see it very often. I mean, it's there, but you don't see it very often.
Definitely. And, I think if they can change the mindset of the ball and play inside out, I think they'll just be a better team.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you take that mindset of playing inside out, I think they'll have a more productive game, and they won't shoot themselves out of games. I think that was the biggest, another big takeaway that SEC player of the week for shooting the most threes and whatnot. But we have to still stick to the fundamentals and the identity of what Mike Anderson is really trying to do. And he's really not a let's out-shoot somebody type of team.
Right.
Get up the floor, play good defense, transition basketball, and easy buckets.
I also do think sometimes this team, their ability to press full court, I think it has to be lessened. I think you have to pick and choose nowadays when you press a basketball team, because you can easily get worn out. When you look at the stat sheet, it really jumps out. Your guards accounted, out of the 16 turnovers you had, your guards accounted for 12 of those turnovers. That's taking care of the basketball. That's something I know Coach A and his staff, they stress each and every day at practice, each and every ball game, ball security. And when you have 16 turnovers opposed to 10 assists, that's not the recipe to winning with this basketball team. You know, several weeks ago, when this team was playing at a high level, they were averaging an average of 18, 19 assists per game. Here over the last few weeks, hadn't been the same thing. They're not playing through Daniel Gafford. I feel like Daniel should get up anywhere from 10 to 14 shots every single game. If he's doing that, you're going to be able to get outside shot that pulls the defenders out while you're chasing. You go out, then the dribble drive. All those things come into play, but it has to start with Daniel Gafford each and every day out, every game. He has to be the go-to guy, and that just wasn't the case last night. Like I said, 26 threes. Way too many three-pointers, entirely too many three-pointers. You do that in the SEC, it's going to be hard to win a conference game, road or home, and I think that's what Arkansas got. On the flip side, Ty Storey. He's in the transfer portal. How do you feel? Now, this is your time to reach out. You can do so by 479-601-7400 and give us your thoughts on Ty putting his name in the portal. Is this something the kids got to do? And I'm going to throw it over to you, Demetrius, to get your take, because I'm just going to be flat out honest. Good riddance. I'm just going to, and that's nothing on a personal attack, because Ty Storey is a man of high character. I mean, he's been a joy to cover, but I go off 11 TDs. You cannot win a game, and you will go 2-10. I think, in my opinion, Demetrius, I'm hearing all this transfer quarterback. I'm just not a proponent of that. I feel like, if you want to go into the future with your youth, with the Connor Nolan, with KJ Jefferson, and go out and recruit at a high level the 5 quarterbacks that you want to have on scholarship. That's just my opinion. What say you on this whole ordeal?
No, I definitely agree. I wouldn't say good riddance because
I didn't mean that. It did come out bad when I said good riddance. It did. I apologize for that, my man.
I don't think really.
But I didn't say dead lead though.
Okay, his play on the field, he didn't give me a reason for him to say, and his leadership skills off the field doesn't overtake his physical skills on the field.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
Meaning that he doesn't have the intangibles that makes me think that he's the guy to lead my football team. Now, I can kind of say like as far as the physical play on the field because of Tom Heaton giving him the tools necessary to excel on the field.
And with that offensive line, my goodness.
Right, so I won't accredit him to that. So interception thing, so his fault. But it's the intangible things off the field that I really don't think Ty Storey really possesses for the type of team that Chad Morris is really trying to get going.
Right.
Chad Morris has to have a guy that's really in over football.
Right.
And I don't think Ty Storey has that type of personality. I don't think he's that type of rah-rah guy. I think Cole Kelly was more so that rah-rah kind of disgruntled.
Heck, it took him 2 weeks to go 2 yards. I'm the guy, I take a quote from Parcells. If they want me to cook the food, they gotta let me shop for my own groceries. I'm one of those guys, I know, and it's all over social media, Demetrius, with not just the fan base here at Arkansas, but every fan base. Everybody's interested in that grad transfer man who went into the portal, transfer portal, put his name in yesterday. They went so far, Arkansas would get this. Now, let's be real. Let's honestly be real, and that's not a knock on Chad Morris or the Arkansas program that he's trying to build, but just at this moment, put yourself in Jalen Hurts' position, and what would you do? I think Jalen's going to end up at a Houston or a Tennessee, somewhere where he has to hone in on his craft and become a better passer. I think, Tennessee's going to be the place. But, Houston, Dana Holgerson, He's a hometown guy from Channelview, Texas, not too far from Houston. So all those things, he's going to have a chance to the best decision for him. But why are so many people so infatuated with this grad transfer quarterback coming to Arkansas? Why is that such a big deal?
Well, I think it's such a big deal here because we don't have identity at the quarterback position.
Right, good point.
When you look at KJ Jefferson, he's not proven. I'm just gonna come out right and say it. Like, yeah, he may be fast, he may run a 4.5 40, he may have thrown for whatever those yards did. He's the most highest passer in Mississippi history. I could go on and on about his high school accolades, but that's the thing about it, is high school.
Right.
Now you're making that transition to college, which is a totally different level. And I think a lot of people get stuck with what kids do in high school. Look at Ty Storey, he had a great high school career.
And do you know, I was looking and found out that Lamar Jackson was rated underneath Ty Storey in that class at quarterback. 16 Ty Storey and 18 was Lamar Jackson.
That's ludicrous.
That totally blew me away.
That's ludicrous, and that's why we have, when we're doing rankings and scouting, we have to get away from the politics of things. Too many boundaries and barriers for guys to really be undervalued.
Right.
There's lesser, or I should say, poverty areas that have great kids that really should be ranked in these top 100, but because they don't go to these big prep academies or these big independent schools, they really don't get the love and the notoriety that
Correct.
they really should get. But
Correct.
I think that's just part of college football.
And talking about a young man that was highly, highly underrated due to the fact maybe a little overweight, Mason Jones. We caught up with Mason. He had a 30-point night. And just to be honest, he was probably the brightest thing shining for the Razorbacks in Bud Walton Arena last night as he went 7 for 13 from the field, 4 for 9 from three-point range, and 12 for 13 from the free throw line. 2 rebounds, 30 points, 3 assists, 4 turnovers. Just a great all-around game. Had it not been for Mason last night, Demetrius, this would have been the ugliest game that I've seen offensively from a Razorback basketball team. But I'll say it again, not being a homer, but I truly feel this team offensively will, that's the one thing about it. But, it's just a matter of time. But we're going to step away, get a real quick break. We caught up with Mason Jones, and here's what Mason had to say post-Florida Gators.
You ready? All right, open up for questions. Hey Mason, you guys obviously had a great run. They could cut it to 2. At that point, did you think you guys were going to finish it off and win? Or just kind of what was going through your mind?
I knew we worked hard to get back, so it would have been nice to finish it off with a win. But what happens when you start off slow and try to fight back? We was down to 16 with like 6 minutes ago, so if you try to wait that late, to try to put your hard hat on, then sometimes. No. People were just off tonight. It's just something is because when I'm off, the other team is stepping up. But who knows? It's just one of them nights where everybody was just off, and I feel like I had to step up.
Maybe you answered this, but was there anything particular about Florida's defense that was giving y'all a problem?
Not really. It's just that we wasn't aggressive as we was last 6 minutes, and we were just too passive. We were trying to force passes in, double teams and stuff. It's just like Coach said, he was giddy, but we can learn from this.
You guys had a big road win. How tough is it to sort of feel like you negated that by losing at home?
It's tough. It's tough. After a good road win, hopefully we wanted to come in and win this game, but Florida had a good game today, and they played harder than us.
Hey Mason, so many threes. I mean, I think Coach probably told you to keep on shooting, but it seems like y'all got back in this game, penetrating the basket, and that allows you guys to get your spread set up pretty good. Maybe more of that down the road, getting to the basket.
Oh, for sure. Just when we started attacking, we started opening up shots for Zay and shots for everybody else, and then opened up. Us giving the ball to Dan opened up more shots for me and where we can penetrate and stuff like that. I know like tonight the shots weren't known, but as long as we keep penetrating, I feel like down the road.
You guys are right back here Saturday. LSU's pretty good. How do you feel you guys will respond for that game?
I feel feel like coach is gonna get us right back. We right back here tomorrow morning at 1. So we just gotta keep coming in and getting ready for LSU. I know every game is a quick turnaround, so you can't harp on a loss. You gotta keep just building from it.
Couple more. Anyone? Oh, in the back.
Just free throw shooting kills you guys again. Just continue to work on that. But how frustrating is it to suffer another loss with free throw shooting?
What was our free throw percentage? Like what was it?
You guys
15?
were 26.
This is for 26. What was it? Florida's?
15, 5.
That's the difference right there. We miss 11 free throws. They only miss 4 free throws. We make half of them free throws to win the game. It's just we work on them. You gotta knock them down. It's nothing the coach can do.
Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, brought to you here on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. Real quick, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, the Baymont Hotel, and Locomotion. It would not be possible without the generous sponsorship from you all, as we like to bring everybody all the information. We came in during our break. We let you hear audio from Mason Jones, sophomore shooting guard. And Mason, he was a bright spot. I've said that before. He spoke of just not having the energy. I felt watching that game last night from press row, not the type of energy that I would have expected, for a home opener from a Mike Anderson team. A lot of people want to put it on the coach. And I get that. Someone gets paid the amount of money that these coaches are getting paid. Totally get it. But there is a such thing. And what's my favorite word, Demetrius?
Maturation.
He knows my word.
I got to get a special graphic so when you say maturation, I can come across the screen and do something funny.
That would be great. But, this is the maturation process. There's going to be peaks and valleys. I'll continue to say it every week. There might be moments in a game where they're going to look, but they're going to have moments like last night where they're not going to shoot well. They're going to have turnovers, and it's just not going to go their way, and they're going to look like a very inexperienced young basketball team. All these things are going to happen when you have such a young team. These are still yet 9 new players. Now, people say, okay, but they played 14 games. That's still the growing process. I do have a complaint. I had the same complaint, Demetrius, with the fans at the attendance last night. There's 17,160 tickets sold. 9,950 tickets scanned in a 19,000-seat arena. Now, I get it. It's all, the school's back in. It's midweek game. But come on, fans. These kids need you to come out and encourage them. Give them that energy sometimes that they don't have, when you get to the gym. I mean, you could be a more influential fan base at games than what you have been. When I grew up, Demetrius, Barnhill Arena, Bud Walton Arena, every coach, had affected that game. Turnovers were created because it's just so much chaos, so much noise that maybe they weren't thinking clearly and would just turn the ball over. It's not that way anymore. This crowd has become a wine and cheese fan base at the University of Arkansas. And you got to get better, fans. You have got to get better and give the kids something to play and want to be a part of that. I'm not seeing that. Hadn't seen it for the better part of 6 years, and it's got to get better, or you really can't complain. If you're not going to be a part of helping a program here at Arkansas be great, then you're part of the problem and not the solution. Don't you feel that way, Demetrius? Because it's been an issue with these crowds for some time now. Just they don't come and, as they say, show up or show out.
What I think fans forget is when they give negative energy to the team, you stunt the maturation.
Right.
You're stopping them from growing into what they could be because of the negative energy. You have to give these guys time, especially the basketball team. It's not like the football team where you have 52 men or however many men roster that you can change bodies and you can kind of recruit a higher number or a body count But basketball, it's not. You know, and we just had a guy leave, and I think guys are still really trying to adjust to
Yeah, I think that was
the
that
identity.
person.
I think that was that had an emotional
Good
toll on the aura of the team that night.
Good point.
You know, it doesn't matter. I think he did make the best choice for
I
him.
think it was even more so surprising to the entire team because, you know, Demetrius, when we asked him, question posed to Mike, were you surprised? And he said he was. So I can just only imagine what, you know, a 17, your brother that's 18, 19
Exactly.
years old, you know, what's going through his mind when you're so used to practicing, getting dressed, and now you look over on the bench and number 25 is not there. So, go ahead.
I think they played a huge role. The court are giving valuable minutes. They don't understand the type of chemistry that you have off the court.
Right.
And a lot of times, I can't remember what coach said it, but they were talking about how basketball really doesn't have anything to do with basketball. It's everything outside of basketball that really builds the champions. Of course, you have to have basketball players, but everybody knows level, especially when you go past that and you go to the NBA level and you get a chance to play on the top level of professionalism. So I think that really played a big toll in just the energy and the mindset. I don't think guys are really focused.
Totally agree. I think you'll see a more in tune basketball team once classes get back in on Monday. I think, you know, when you're dealing with these young kids, you know, a lot of time can be too much time, if you understand what I'm saying. I mean, there's no school, there's no daily routine. You just get up and it's basketball. I'm either at practice or I'm in the gym. And so now you've got to get into a routine. And I feel once you get the students back, you got your classmates in the arena, same age, giving you the energy, and I think that's what's been missing, the energy in that stadium. You know, you got to pick it up, fans. You know, but at the same time, in your defense, this basketball team has to come out and bring energy as well. And when those two things get together, Bud Walton Arena, Demetrius, and to all listeners that's been there, it's a place that you can't even put into words the atmosphere that can be created when everything's going at the same time. But I really feel this is a tough one. It's going to be a tough ball game Saturday versus LSU to go 2-1. This is a stretch in these first 4 games. If you can come out 2-2, you have to feel good about it. I mean, you're going to be at Tennessee next Tuesday, which I think, and I've said it before, I think right now they're the best basketball team in college basketball. Arkansas reminds me of that young Tennessee team 3 years ago when Admiral Schofield, Williams, Walker, all those guys were being recruited and came in with Coach Barnes and just took their lumps. And you see what they're doing now. Number 3 in the country with a lot of momentum. And I think this is.
We're just so accustomed to winning and wanting to be the winner that we don't give our team time to develop. And we've been saying this time is going to come because it's been so long since we've been good at football.
And that's what we go back to. Make sure you tell people when you go into Donald W. Reynolds and you go into Bud Walton and you see amount of seats, it's hard to tell a kid we have the best fan base when the arena or the stadium's not even full. And you have a winning program in basketball. Arkansas and Coach Ennis has been the 3rd winningest program over the last 8 years. You can't average 13 to 15,000 people in the seats. Those are the type of things I think that's the fan was a struggling period before they got Nick Saban. Clemson struggled before Dabo. Programs are going to struggle with fan bases. You know, I said it before, tradition never graduates. And the tradition was always to have a great fan base that would show up, show out, and darn near fill the stadium or arena. And that's just not happening. And you have to do better. You want your teams and programs to do better, you have to play a bigger part. Don't just buy the ticket and be that Twitter hater, that social media hater. Come out and play a part. That's what I want to see. I just want to see one full stadium, a Bud Walton Arena, and one enormously packed stadium in football. But I just don't see it happening. These fans have as just far to go as these programs, don't you think?
I think it just goes on to winning. And when you win consistently, because fans do play a part in helping build the atmosphere for winners. But it boils down to the players. Because, as we say, the coaches can't play. The only guys that can really go on that field to play are the players that we recruit to come to the University of Arkansas. And we have to build a culture here to really get back into being a national brand to where night in and night out, we know we're going to compete. And there was a time period where we're gonna win the basketball.
Right.
There was no we might lose. Now every other game we talk how we might lose. Well, that's just part of the process. But again, if you bring the negative energy to the team, you're stopping the maturation.
Right.
I think that's where the fans have to find a line of balance. It's okay to give suggestions. It's okay to harp about how your team isn't doing the things that you want to, but you have to make sure that it's progressive criticism, not criticism that'll stifle your program where kids are going online and seeing the type of comments that you're talking about the head coach. Kids see the things that fans do.
Right.
That's what makes a kid really come to a university. It's the fan base. I want to know how much love I'm going to get. I'm an 18, 19, 20-year-old. I want to know the type of attention that I'm going to get when I succeed. I don't want a fan base that only when I win they're showing me love, but as soon as I take an L, last week our fan base was talking rampant. I mean, it wasn't even last week. It was maybe 3 to 4 days ago. We just upset Texas A&M and everybody. Hey, we might do this and we might do that, but then we come out and play one bad game. And it's just like, okay, now we're not going to win another game in the SEC. And that's so accountable.
Talking about a program, we're going to step away real quick and close this thing out. But before we do so, we caught up with head coach of the Florida Gators, Mike White. Mike going to talk about his ball club, the big win, and he mentions a few things about Arkansas and this young basketball team with Mike Anderson. And here's what Coach White had to say.
In that regard, no one anger, growing in that regard. But we were, when we got up 15, we were different. And hopefully we learned from it. We didn't learn from it Saturday, but maybe 2 in a row we'll learn from it. And I'm not sure we'll be at 15 again, but hopefully we will be.
You call timeout with 12 seconds left up before. What was the plan there? What did you say in the huddle?
Just scream, don't foul 3 about 87 times in a row. We just wanted to make sure. Also, we thought, especially with the speed of Harris, that they could potentially extend the game by drawing a quick foul, getting the line. As much as we were struggling with press, I really just wanted to key in on the defensive possession and see if we could get a stop.
And okay, Von,